Do the Los Angeles Rams have a concern that Ram fans and other media are not paying any attention to? On the Clean Pocket podcast, which is Colt McCoy and Jay Gruden's podcast, and in this episode, AQ Shipley and also Justin Pugh Shipley and Pugh are two former offensive linemen, and then you have Colt McCoy, who's a longtime backup quarterback and at times a starter, and then you have a coach in Jay Gruden. I was listening to their podcast, and they have a little bit of a concern about the Rams when it comes to Steve Avila. And I enjoy hearing opinions unlike my own. I disagree with their opinion here, but let me play it for you, and then let me tell you why I disagree with this, coming from a Rams fan perspective.
The one concern I have with this group, they've had Coleman Shelton, who we know, he was in Arizona with Justin and I. He was their center the last couple of years. Matthew has had his center. Coleman is gone. They are moving Steve Avila from TCU, who they drafted and played every play at guard last year, into center. And like every coach or GM, they think, oh, we can just make everybody a center. It isn't as easy as people.
See, that's where I disagree with him. I don't believe that Sean McVay and Les Snead and the entire Rams coaching staff has that mindset. Steve Avila, he has the talent. He showed it in practice. He was a rookie last year, starting left guard. He's proven to be a monster talent. He's still young in his career. I also think this panel is forgetting to mention, and maybe they're not aware of it, that Steve Avila did play center and guard at TCU during college. So he's someone who has that potential. And even in his scouting reports before he was drafted, he was someone that scouts said could possibly play center. So I think I'm willing to even give the Rams more credit than these guys are, that the Rams drafted him with the intention of transitioning him to be a starting center one day. I'm a firm believer that they saw this talent and were like, hey, let's make this guy our starting center. He's who we want to move forward with. We're going to move off of Coleman Shelton. We're going to move off of Brian Allen. And that's kind of where we are. But they go on to say, listen to the panel.
That scares the hell out of me, too.
Scares the hell out of me.
I don't like that at all.
And they let the backup go. Brian Allen's now in Cleveland.
Correct.
Another good player. So they have no one that's have any center experience in L.A. on the roster.
Talk about that a little bit more.
In training camp, that could change.
That probably will change.
Because, like, for me, while we're playing at the highest level, professional.
Just going to pause there 1 sec. So again, that's a valid criticism. That is a very valid take of being like, hey, no one in their center room has substantial experience as an NFL center. And especially, they're two of the people on this panel are former offensive linemen. So I respect that a lot.
Football, why you take a guard who played all year at guard and move him over to center?
And he played well. He played well at guard.
Totally different position. Right now, you're communicating everything. You're calling out defenses. You're spitting calls all the way down the line, both ways. You're snapping the football. You're blocking different people. It's crazy. I don't understand why teams don't draft centers.
We saw a prime example. He was like, just throw your arms up there and block the guy. Everyone, like AQ said, a lot of people think it's easy to play center in the NFL,
especially front office.
Again, I appreciate their insight and perspective based on their experience. However, I also think it's a testament to Steve Avila's football IQ, and just like Colt McCoy is saying, all the cadences, all that that goes into being a center. It's a difficult position to play. I think that Steve has very much earned the right to play it, and the Rams are not known for putting their players in a position for them not to succeed. They're actually quite good at it. And so I think that this criticism, though it's an interesting take, interesting to talk about, especially from this panel's experience, but I do disagree with them, and they're neglecting to take the Rams are a good organization. They're able to see the talent in this young player, that they have this star guard that they have to be a starting center. Let's continue listening.
Front office thinks it more than anybody. They're like, oh, this guy isn't working out tack, or this guy isn't working out guard. We'll just
put him at right guard.
We'll just make him a center. And my answer is always this. Okay, yeah, it's real easy until you got Vita Vea an inch from your face,
Yeah.
with your hand between your legs, and then you got to block him.
Okay, I firmly disagree with this. I do not think that Les Snead in the front office were the ones, to be like, oh, let's make, Steve Avila a guard, right? He's been good at, or let's make him a center. He was good at guard. Let's make him a center. No, I think it was a coaching decision, not just from Sean McVay, but also Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator. I'm sure multiple other coaches on the Rams staff would have had opinions into this.
Well, understand this too. Back a few years ago, you could only dress 7 linemen, so your guards had to be versatile. They had to play both center and guard and both guards, and maybe a tackle had to learn. I mean, because your 6th lineman was usually a backup tackle. Your 7th lineman was probably a backup
swing
guy,
inside
right?
guy. Yeah.
Now teams are able to dress 8, so you might be able to get away with drafting pure centers. But surely throughout the course of last year and training camp and all that stuff, Steve was getting some snaps at center and working. So they wouldn't just say, hey, Steve, come on in the office, buddy. We're moving you to center. He has to have some kind of experience at center, I would think.
You know what his experience is going to be? He probably got some quarterback center exchange in pre-practice. I bet you that's all he got.
There you have it. He's good to go.
Just put your forearms up,
Breaking
Steve.
news.
You're going to be all right.
I never said put your forearms up. Quit saying that.
I like that.
As a backup quarterback for a lot of my career, I was always the one that stayed after practice and like, hey, work these left guard, right guard, emergency situations. Like, make sure you're getting some snaps to them every day. It was brutal. Like, you're teaching them how to snap the football, where to hit your hand, shotgun snaps, cadences, all these things that they understand all that, but actually doing it in a live game, man, it's tricky.
When bullets are flying, it's a whole different deal.
Yeah, that's one thing that Cooper Kupp and Puka can do is block.
Mm-hmm.
They can motion down.
Okay, so they kind of transition off and they talk about Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and a few other things about the Rams. I'll link the episode here. I really did enjoy listening to this podcast. I hope to hear more from them. It was cool to hear them talk about the Cardinals, about the Seahawks, about the Rams, and about the Niners. But this is the one part I do politely disagree with Colt McCoy and company. I acknowledge their experience and their expertise, and I think their criticisms are valid as an off-season take for sure and an off-season concern. But I think once the season get here, Steve Avila and this Rams O-line, they are going to be so good. I love that they added Jonah Jackson. They re-signed Kevin Dodson. They made it a beefy O-line. Love that. Big Rob Havenstance on the right tackle. And then, of course, A.J. Jackson on the left tackle position. I thoroughly believe this offensive line sees the talent that Steve Avila is. And I think that they're going to be a top 5 offensive line this year. And I think that Steve Avila at center is going to be a large reason because of that. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy, this kind of reaction video? And, I encourage you to go check out the full episode from the Clean Pocket podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed listening, even though I disagreed, because I love hearing opinions that are unlike my own and that I disagree with. That's going to do it for me. As always, go Rams, horns up, and peace out. Let's go Rams. Woo!